Okay, cool. Hey y'all, this is Miss Keeley and Miss Maya is also here from Scotland High School. If you're watching this, just know that this is going to be me basically going through the FAFSA and using some of this generic information. It's just a test account, so none of the information I'm adding is real, but this is just to give you a sense of what you can expect when you're filling out the FAFSA. So I'll try to be as quick as possible, but just disclaimer, this is only like my second time doing this. So I might get stuck on a couple things. Hopefully it goes smoothly though. And Miss Maya, jump in if I forgot anything. Okay, cool. So I'm at the website, and so to get here, you're going to go to studentaid.gov. This is just the test website, so that's why the URL is different for me. And generally, students are going to fill this out with their parents' information. So I'm going to be the student tonight, and I'm going to click I'm the student. And then you'll see this first thing it's going to prompt you to do is to log in with your FSA ID. And if you've met with me, you know what that is. The FSA ID is basically an identifier that you're going to create using your social security number, your name, and you're going to add some other information about you. And you're going to make one for you and then one for one parent or guardian. If you haven't done that yet, you can click the link right there to create one, or just go to fsaid.ed.gov and create it there. And then you're going to generate a username and a password for your FSA ID, and that's what you're going to use to log into your FAFSA. So if you haven't done that yet, go ahead and do that, pause the video, and then hop back here once you've made your FSA ID. Welcome back if you if you left. Now I'm going to try to log in, and this last one worked. We're not doing renewals, we're doing new user. This last one worked when I was using it last time. So that's my FSA ID. And my password right here. Click next. And now you're going to get a disclaimer. This is basically just talking about who all's going to see this information, and that it is pretty top secret. They're going to keep it safe, and you're going to click accept in order to get on to the next stage. Okay, cool. And so now we're here. So I'm just going to click start over so you can see each of the steps. I guess they're going to make me create a save key. I think that this is just anything you want it to be. I kind of put in one of my generic passwords last time. So just remember what this is, because I think what it is if for some reason your Wi-Fi stops working, I think it'll ask you for your save key and it'll let you just like get back to where you were without needing to start all the way over. So we're going to click OK to continue processing. Great, now we're at the introduction page. As you see, you're going to use the next and previous buttons to move back and forth. And something really cool that I noticed when I was doing this earlier is that right over here, it'll say student or parent. And that's kind of like whose information you should be thinking about, or who should be the one completing this section, which is cool because sometimes it can get kind of confusing, like who are they asking for this information? So right now it's the student. So you're going to click next, unless you want to read one of those articles. And now it's going to take you, so you're going to fill all this out. Because I already created my FSA ID, or because John last name already created their FSA ID, all of their information is already filled out. But let's just go through and figure out what it's going to be asking for. We're going to see last name, first name, if you have a middle initial, date of birth right here, also social security number. But if you've made an FSA ID, you've already provided your social, so you won't have to re-enter it here for the student. Male or female, permanent mailing address. And then this is kind of gonna just be asking about residency. Your answers might be different. And if you run into anything that's different from what I'm doing here and you're confused about it, just let me know. This is for kind of like the most straightforward application. Email address, re-enter. Make sure when you enter that email address that you're doing a personal email and not your school email, because your FAFSA you're going to need to renew every single year that you're in college, and you're going to lose access to your Robeson County email when you graduate in the spring. So just make sure you use a Gmail or a Yahoo or whatever personal email or iCloud is something that I've seen a lot of y'all have. Marital status, and this is for the student again. If you have a driver's license, you have to provide that information. If you don't, leave it blank or just say no. Registered selective service system. I think if you're a male and 18, you're supposed to be, I can look into that more if you have questions about that. Oh, it actually just says to register you if you're not. High school diploma. So you're going to say, your status when you what will your high school completion status be when you begin college? High school diploma completed. What will your college grade level be when you begin the 21-22 school year? That can be a little bit confusing, especially for folks who've taken AP classes and college classes in high school. You are going to say that you've never attended college if you've never been full-time enrolled in college before. Even if you've taken RCC classes or CCP classes or AP classes, you're still going to put never attended college first year. And then you're going to get your bachelor's degree if you're getting your associate's degree, like you can choose whichever option you want for that. Always say yes for work study. Probably won't have your bachelor's degree. And then if you are in the foster care system, but yes for this, and it's going to ask you some additional questions. And then it's going to ask you what is the highest level of school that's completed by parent 1 and parent 2. And for this specific person, they've indicated that they do have 2 parents. There should be an option later on to indicate if you do not, or if you have guardians, if you have specific questions about that, let me know. Oftentimes a lot of this stuff can be Googled as well if you're confused about any piece of it. Next, you're going to look up your high school. Let's just try it for Purnell. We're going to say, this is just going to ask you to confirm. Purnell Sweat High School. What city? I guess it's technically in Maxton, isn't it? North Carolina. Some places say Pembroke and some places say Maxton. Maybe it is in Pembroke. Okay, cool. I guess it is. Gonna select that there. Cool. And now, great, click next. Only do that if you go to Purnell, obviously. And now this is the page where you're gonna add all the colleges and universities that you're applying to so that the FAFSA gets sent to them and that they have that information for you. So I'll do this for you really quick because it looks like this person has applied to these 2, but let's just add a school to see what that looks like. It's gonna take us to a different page. So let's say you wanna go to Chapel Hill. Me and Maya are both wearing our Carolina shirts. North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Hopefully that'll be enough. Awesome. We want to go to UNC Chapel Hill and we're going to click add. So it's going to move it from that column to that column. Great. And now we're going to click next. And then it's going to ask us a question about UNC and what all the schools we're applying to. You need to indicate what are your housing plans. So I'm going to click on campus because I don't live in Chapel Hill. But let's also say that you wanted to apply to UNC Pembroke. We'll go through that one because I think that that's going to be a pretty common one. North Carolina, Pembroke. I spelled that wrong. Add that there. Next. And now you'll see our list is growing. Add all of the schools that you want to apply to, even if you're not quite sure if you're going to apply there yet. Make sure you just add them all when you do this. So let's just say we're going to live with parent because if you're from Robeson County, it can be pretty financially a good decision to just live at home for a year. So, and that's going to maybe change your finance. So just like make sure you know what that's going to be. So we'll click next now. On to the next. Great. So we're going to ask these questions. Were you born before 1998? on the day you submitted your FAFSA, were you married? And this is about the student. At the beginning of the next school year, you'll be working on your master's or doctorate program. None of y'all should just put no for that. Do you now have, or will you have children who will receive more than half of their support from you between July 1st and June 30th, potentially, depending on your situation, but this would be asking about a student's child, not you getting it, but you giving that to a child that you might have. Do you have dependents who live with you who receive more than half of their support from you? Are you currently serving? I think this is about student, right? It's saying that they fill this out. Yeah. I think it's probably normal to answer no to most of these questions, but notice at the bottom it's going to be asking about homelessness. So that's important. If you are unhoused, make sure that you answer yes to that, because that could change some answers. So put your answers on this page. And then anything I missed, Maya, that seems important? Okay. And we'll click next. If you do end up having specific questions about something I kind of breezed through, just let us know. Now we're to the parent demographic information. And then it's going to ask, what was your parents' marital status on the day you submitted your FAFSA? So there's these options. I guess for this person, it's married or remarried. And then it's also going to ask the month and the year that they got married or remarried. So you might need to ask one or both of them for that information. It's also going to ask for your parents' social security numbers. If your parents do not have social security numbers, you're going to put all zeros for this. And also let me or Miss Maya know if that's what you're doing, because we might have to do a little bit more work to make sure that your situation gets accurately construed when you're submitting this. Make sure your parents' emails are correct, state of legal residence, answer all of these questions. Household size is everyone in your household, your tax household. That's something that I see that people get confused about, understandably a lot. That's going to be based on your taxes. So let's say your parents are married and they have 2 kids, but then you also live with an aunt. Your household would be 4 people, as long as your aunt is not claimed in any way on your parents' taxes. Your aunt might file her own taxes, and she's in her own tax household, and then it's the 4 of y'all in one tax household, so that'd be 4 people. And I'm like 90% sure that is correct. So yeah, it'll help you calculate that here, but I think that can be confusing for folks. And then it's also going to ask how many people in your parents' households will be college students. So if you have a sibling who is currently in college and is planning to be in college when you're in college next year, then you're going to put like how many people will be college students. You're going to put like 2 there, you and your sibling, because that's for next year. Yes, that'd be right. But I guess for this example, it would only be, I forgot what the person's name is, John. Okay, I asked about this because when I first came across this, I didn't understand it. IRS data retrieval tool allows you to link your FAFSA to the IRS website, which has information about your federal tax returns. It is much easier to do that if you have the option to do that. And so you're going to click link to IRS if that's your case. I'm not going to do that here just because I want to show like all of the steps and like what specifically it'll ask you to fill out if you don't link it there. But I would super recommend, and I got this advice from another advisor, like definitely link to IRS if you're able to, because that will not require you to have your 1040, which is the tax form that you need to pull this information from. The IRS can just communicate with FAFSA and autofill that information based on your 2019 filed taxes. So it's a little bit complicated, but basically click link to IRS and then see if you can do that. And if not, you'll just have to manually input, but it's easier to just link it to the IRS if you can. So we'll say no thanks. But in normal circumstances, click link to IRS. Okay, and then this is kind of what it's going to ask your parent to complete relative to their taxes. So in 2019, have they completed their IRS income tax? I guess they already completed it. It was an IRS 1040. And here's what an IRS 1040 looks like. So ask your parent or your guardian for this form, because to manually input stuff into this page, you're going to need to look up specific like lines in that tax form. And so if you have a different looking form, or like, let's say you filed it with like a bank and the bank sent you a certification being like, congrats, you filed, even if it might tell you a number or two, you do need the 1040. And you can probably find that online or through whoever you did your taxes with, but we can also help you hunt it down because it can be kind of hard to find sometimes. And then it's going to ask you to fill in all of these things related to income. So it's going to tell you, okay, let's just do this one. So adjusted gross income. Adjusted gross income is before taxes, and that line is found on line 8B of the Form 1040. So let's go over here, Form 1040, line 8B, it's right there. So whatever it says there, that's what you're going to manually input over here into your FAFSA. And you're going to do the same thing for all of these. Oops. This one is kind of difficult just because it's like they filed jointly, and so you might have to do a little bit of math. But if you do the autofill through the IRS thing, you won't have to do this math. It'll just automatically do it for you. I'm not going to go super specifically through these. I think it might just be easier to work one-on-one on those, just because it's not a bad idea to just get them checked over just in case. So just make an appointment with me if you want to work on that together. But that is this page. And then that's going to be income tax. So you can find that on, as it says, line 14 minus line 2 of Schedule 2. And that's going to be on this 1040 form as well. Through this, and then on any untaxed income as well. And your parents will probably know the answers to this, even if you don't. And then it's going to end with questions about your parents' assets. Okay, let's go to next. And again, this is a really general overview. And now we're asking about you, the student. So this is asking, are you planning to file 2019 taxes? And what that's asking you is, did you either make enough money last year to file taxes, and like therefore are you planning to? Even if you had a job, sometimes you don't have to file taxes because you don't make enough. A lot of folks don't file taxes, so you could say like not going to file if you yourself aren't going to file. If you did make enough to file, then go for it. And well, you have to actually put it here. Don't just go for it. It's kind of like required. So you would say already completed or will file, and it's going to ask you info based on that. But it's basically going to ask you the same thing it asked your parents. Just input your income information that you reported on your taxes. Okay, great. And so now this is that was the final step, I think. And just like check over this and make sure it's okay. This looks a little bit weird just because I think that other people have been using this as well. But it should give you the option to like check over all the answers that you've given. Cool. And then this final page is going to be sign and submit. So just read through all of this. You're going to have to agree to those terms and outlines. And your parent is also going to have to agree to them. And it's also going to ask for your parents' FSA ID. And then you're going to sign and then submit the FAFSA. I'm not going to do that just so other people can use this test account. But that's like basically like from beginning to end what a pretty straightforward FAFSA situation will look like. It's likely that you might have a particular case that doesn't fit so easily into these boxes. And if that's the case, just reach out to me and Miss Maya about that, because we're happy to work with you on it. We're also learning alongside y'all, but we're here to help. And by the end of this, we'll have done so many of them that I'm sure we can troubleshoot pretty effectively. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Miss Maya, before I end this video?
Just that if any students from Scotland High School are a little confused about maybe what who to put down for a parent or guardian, any questions related to who should be making that FSA ID, that is the second one in addition to the one that you're making, definitely talk to either of us about it.
Cool. Yes, really good point too. Okay, cool. I'm gonna stop sharing. But thanks for tuning in. And as I maybe said at the beginning, Miss Maya and I are offering these virtual FAFSA nights every Thursday between 5 and 7 in October. So if you do want to like run through your own FAFSA, if you need specific assistance, or if you just have general questions, like just hop into this Zoom at any time between 5 and 7 and we'll help you out. Cool. Bye.